Hi Year 2, welcome to English for Monday week 5. Now if you haven't watched the video of Fang Fang's Chinese New Year, can you go and do that now? Unfortunately, Mrs. Hayes did read us the book, but the audio isn't working on the file, so we have to use the YouTube clip. So please pause this video and go and watch that one if you haven't already. Okay, so this is what you need today. So you need sheet 16, you're going to need your writing book, a pencil, glue stick and eraser. So go and grab those things. Okay, so a reminder that we are using our whole body listening when we are doing our lessons. So eyes are looking, ears are listening, and we're trying to keep our body still. Okay, so today we're learning about a story from another culture, and we're going to identify the traits of a character. So we're going to write a character profile for the main character, Fang Fang. So we're going to describe her appearance, so what she looks like, her thoughts, her qualities and her actions in the story. Okay, so you just listen to the story for Fang Fang's Chinese New Year. So who were the main characters in that story? Who were the main characters? So we had Fang Fang, her friend Lisa, her parents and her extended family. Where was the story set? There was a couple of places that the story moved around in, but it was mainly set where? It was set in at her home, her uncle's Chinese restaurant, and in the street watching the parade. Okay, so Fang Fang's Chinese New Year. How do you think Fang Fang feels about sharing her culture at the start of the story? Thinking about her face, the start of the story, how did you think that she felt about sharing her culture with Lisa? Do you think she was a bit embarrassed? She did look a bit embarrassed. How do you think she feels about her culture at the end of the story, once Lisa has really enjoyed herself at the restaurant and at the parade? Do you think Fang Fang's changed a little bit? Do you think she might be feeling a little bit more proud of herself and who she is? Yep. And the last question, what do you think the message in the story is then? What do you think the moral of the story, the overall main idea of the story is? Would it be to be celebrating who you are and celebrating your culture? So being proud of your culture, and then other people will enjoy your culture too. So today we're going to write a character profile about Fang Fang. So we're going to describe her appearance, qualities, thoughts and actions. Before we write, we need to rehash what happened in the story. So how does she feel about celebrating Chinese New Year at the start? How does she feel? So let's have a little look at her face. Does that look like she's excited? What do you think? How does she feel about Lisa coming? So she looks a bit embarrassed here because her cheeks are red, and she does look a bit sort of bored at the idea of celebrating it. Okay, how do you think she feels about Lisa coming along to celebrate? Was she excited for Lisa to come along? What does she say? So we went back to the book. Ma, she won't like it, says Fang Fang crossly. So does she feel good about it? What do you think? So she didn't want to ask her. She's worried that Lisa won't enjoy herself. Okay, why does Fang Fang think Lisa won't enjoy it? Why? Here's a clue. In the story, Fang Fang said, Lisa might think it's silly. So she's worried that, or thinks that, Lisa's going to find it silly. Why do you think Fang Fang thinks like this? What do you think? Why do you think she's poking her tongue out here? So she might be worried that Fang Fang might be worried that Lisa won't understand the Chinese customs of her family. Okay, and our last question, how do you think the illustrations help us decide how Fang Fang feels about Chinese New Year? So there's some really great facial expressions in this story. How do you think these illustrations help us to decide how Fang Fang feels? Looking at her mouth there, looking at her cheeks, what do you think? So she's slumping at the table, the cheeks are going red because she's embarrassed. So the illustrations really reinforce the words of the story as well. Okay, so we're going to fill out a character profile for Fang Fang. So you'd be familiar with this sheet by now. So in this column here is how the author has represented the character. And that's what we're going to do today. This column here is how you would create an alternative description of the same character. So we're not going to do that today. We're just going to write about how the author has represented the character. So we've got the first row here. It says appearance. Where's my mouse going there? So it's, what does the character look like? So we've got to write in here how she appears in the story. So what does her facial expression show throughout the story? How is she dressed? What does she look like? How would you describe her to someone who's never seen the book? Okay, so you jot down some ideas here. So I've got some ideas on the next page if you are stuck, but you are very welcome to go ahead and do it on your own. So the qualities. So what are her qualities? How does she behave? Is she doing what her mum and dad ask her to do? Is she loving? Is she caring? Is she gentle? Is she scary? Okay. Thoughts. What does she think about herself? What does Fang Fang think about herself? And about the other characters or about the events in the story? So you write that in there. So a couple of just bullet points of her thoughts. And then on the second page of sheet 16, you've got the action. So what does she do in the story? Okay. A couple of bullet points in there. So if you're stuck, I go through a couple of ideas here. So appearance. So I've got in the beginning, well, most of the story, she's got a frowning face. You might want to write that her cheeks are red. She slouches. She pokes her tongue out at one point in the story. So those are some ideas that I've put in there. So you are very welcome to copy those if you like. Right. What about her qualities? How does she behave? Well, when her mum tells her to invite Lisa, she does as she's told, doesn't she? So I've written here, she's obedient. Okay, so you might have some other qualities you want to add in there. Thoughts. What does she think about herself, about other characters? So I've put, she thinks Lisa will think her culture is silly. She also, her thought, she's feeling embarrassed about her culture. So I've put those two in there, so you might want to put something else in there. And the last bit is the action. So what does she do in the story? So I've put she invites Lisa to Chinese New Year. She goes to the restaurant but is grumpy because she's feeling embarrassed. She's a bit grumpy. Okay, so that's all we're filling out today. We're just filling out that column of sheet 16. And that is the end of our English lesson for Monday. I'll see you next time.